Ladies and gentlemen, it's good to be here, and it's good to be back. Welcome back to HTCC, and welcome to the 4th round. What a lot to talk about this season. It's been a great 3 races thus far. We've had some amazing racing throughout all of the splits, 4-1 all the way through, and now it's looking like we've got even more to come with the Cordillera circuit out here tonight. My name is Ben Satswood, aka Sappytron, aka Hokey with a bit of beard, and right now it's looking like we have got quite an event ahead of us. And it's good to see everyone in chat, it's good to see everyone here. Let's talk about what's going on tonight. It's of course Cordillera. It's a brilliant racetrack. It's about 3 kilometers and it's built by the one and only ESV Green. So you know we're talking good gravy when one of the top ESV drivers is directly responsible for its creation. It's going to be quite the racing track to see our drivers on there. But now we also need to look at the previous race. We had, as a reminder, a very interesting Split 2. Of course, we'll touch upon Split 1 when we cross that bridge in the interim between the 2 different groups. But as a reminder of where we're coming from last time out, it was Dark who took race 1 and got himself a healthy points break. 29 with the Lincoln Co. Only one to do so in this field. Mostly dominated by Hyundais and a couple of MGs. The Link was the one to take top honours with Godley in LES just behind. Now looking at the rest of the field now, it's going to be an interesting one to see, as we have got, of course, Bearfields, MX, Troot, Yeeman, Masterly, Silver Corolla, Nocturne, Oceanics, The Juice is Loose, and then Sunken 22. It's going to be a very fun one. Of course, we'll show you the stats for race 2, given it has a bit of a unique challenge in and of itself. But with that in mind, folks, let us know who you are looking forward to seeing out on track here tonight. Whether you're here for the Split 2 action or you're going to be here for Split 1 with our special guest. Of course, wouldn't be a Hokey Hoshi HTCC season without him occasionally appearing on the Split 1. Let us know who you're looking forward to seeing out there on track. Me, at least, I am very excited Split 2 wise, because we have got quite the set of drivers who are going to be getting a bit of a chance to push and to really show their stuff. Now, who have we got out on track? That's a good question. It is quite a good question indeed. And we're going to be checking in on the drivers in just a moment as they get themselves ready. Going to leave that a little bit of a surprise for you all. But as it currently stands, we are halfway through the season. We have had an amazing season thus far, and we've still got 2 amazing tracks to go after this. So looking like quite a fun one together. Rooting for anyone in Hotline. I respect it. I very much respect it. Alternate universe. A little bit of a twisted fate moment we've got a bit going on here. Got to rep your own team. It is legally required. It's part of your contract, Hoking. It is, in fact, mandated. Hashtag biased. It's alright. You're in the audience. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Split 1, however, I'll be watching you. I will be keeping an eye. You must behave yourself, my friend. Not a caster yet, so you can pick sides. There you go, exactly. But let's see how the drivers are doing. We're just going to check in and see what is going on and who we can expect out on the course. Course to hotline. Yeah, so trying to predict the future here, are we? Very much trying to predict the future. While we have a moment to talk about it, I've got to give the massive amount of credit to everyone behind the scenes working on this. I mean, the spinner, courtesy of Army, continuing to be the best in the business when it comes to these 3D graphics. And we have so many more on the team. We got Magnus, we have got Mars, we have got everyone from the Yoi all the way over to Miro. You know, and there's so many more as well. There's so many more who people are helping out, making this possible, and wanted to sort of take a moment to appreciate the work that goes into it all. And we should be just a couple of moments away from going course side, going track side, as we are due to drop in a few minutes. I'm doing my part, brackets, I don't do anything. That's how I feel sometimes. I show up, I commentate, I do the yapping for a couple of hours. Life is good, life is me. Bluffers are important. Exactly. That's... Well, everyone has their piece of the puzzle. Everyone has their piece of the pie. We should be seeing everyone joining up into their splits in due time. And while we do have a bit of a think about that as well, I've got to say it's been fun casting this round and now previous round as well to boot. Looking forward to doing more in the Forza space. It's good to be back. And I say HTCC Race 3 was the first Forza gig in Horizon that I'd done in actually a very long time. So it's good to be back. It's good to be doing something in Horizon consistently. And we should see some brilliant racing out there today. Got a little bit of a surprise as well later in the week, which I'm not quite willing to share just yet, but I do have something to reveal. But we're going to save that for when we come to it. Rest assured, plenty of content on the horizon. There. Very sappy from the dead just to do my job for me. Exactly. I was brought out of my teacher slumber and being reminded that I was apparently a commentator or something. So here we are. I guess I'm here now. And we ball. We move. But, so much to come. Much to come. Plenty of exciting developments on the horizon. Pun absolutely not intended. I just realised what I did there, and I do regret it in my soul. But we are soon going to be making our way out there. Where will this leave us? Who knows? Now, who we are expecting to see out on the course today is going to be... Well, we might as well tease a little bit as to who we're expecting out on course. We're seeing, if you put up the standings, you might recognize a few names here. We have got ourselves Noctrion, Speed King 555, winner of Horizon Map Fest, by the way, cheeky plug, winner of that mapping competition, so knows wheel and knows track as well. We got JCal 7796, Not Red Gill, Luke 33 Gaming, Comrade Nick 9843, Sunken 22. The solid qualifying, the Dunkin' Donut, Gaviel SS, FT Bonnie, Dan B the Man, and Andrew 9565. We got quite a roster out here, I've got to say. And some joys and jubilations, as we do see a couple of new faces joining us here in Split 2. Of course, wait and see how they perform. But everyone is going to have to bring their A game out here tonight. Just because we have a couple of change-ups does not mean that you can take anyone for granted. And just a little bit of contextual information, getting the info that the link has been slightly nerfed and we have switched to race 1 BOP settings. So balance of performance, mild adjustment to make sure that all cars are on equal footing and at parity. So that is just making sure we don't have any runaway situations. They do all still have their merits, but we are going to be soon having the racing in full. Everyone's just getting themselves rigged up and ready now, and we will be soon going trackside. Now, final judgments. Of course, let us know who you're looking forward to seeing and who you are rooting for, as in just a couple of minutes we will be making our way over to Cordillera Circuit, and we will be making our way over to the race. Let's just make sure that we have got everything set up and rigged to go. Making sure I have all of the stream links as well, making sure that we get the maximum points of views for all of the actions. Rooting for the hump. Used MG GT3 RS. I keep hearing a Horizon notification sound, and I'm not sure if that is one of the streams or whether that is genuinely a piece of the audio. Hang tight, folks, as we are going to be just moments away now. Final prep, final rigging. The racers are just getting themselves into a convoy together as we speak. I'm just in the background right now making sure that we have got everyone and that we do have everyone's viewpoints too. We are just currently missing out on a couple. And then provided that and everyone being in the split convoy, we'll be up and ready to go. I believe we are just waiting on a couple of drivers now. Just waiting on a couple to get in. And then we will be out and racing. We have currently got, I believe, 5 people in a convoy. Had to reset the convoy due to a couple of hiccups and sync issues. But rest assured that we are looking to get the racing on as soon as possible. And we might be able to even take a bit of a sneak peek at some of the liveries, provided we can get trackside with at least a couple of driver perspectives. See what kind of liveries the racers are cooking up, because sometimes you can miss out on it a little bit, but the liveries are nothing short of mesmerizing. And the work that goes into a quality paint cannot be understated. Don't get why some choose not to paint. It's 3 horsepower. See, someone's got the right idea. Scientifically proven to be a buff if you get yourself a good paint. No pain. Weight reduction. No, absolutely not. You can't just have no paint. You can't just have no paint. That is heresy. That is nothing short of heresy. But now we are getting people joining up. Just waiting on a couple more drivers. And then we will be out and away. While we're taking a bit of a second, we can also take a quick look at the race 2 standings, because we did have a bit of a shake-up. Gearman ended up taking the win on that one. He managed to get that clean breakaway, remember? And we were able to see him get a little bit of track space, particularly around the last circuit with the wet conditions. It was crucial. You got a bit of own room on the track, and we saw a few drivers start to space themselves out. See them very much pushing and fighting for space, but if you're not having to contend with other drivers out and around you, you do get a chance to claim back about 2 to 3 tenths of a second per lap, and that very quickly stacks. Good to see everyone in the chat. Looking forward to the racing that's about to transpire. Looking forward to seeing everyone on that track. So dark in the end, despite a solid win last time out, was given a bit of a flip position, especially given the reverse grid. And it is going to be quite a mix-up as well with tonight. It is going to be in dry conditions, I have been informed, so we're not going to see any kind of shenanigans with the grip and the surface. We are going to see drivers on nothing but push. Nothing but 100%. So we are 10 out of 12 drivers now in the convoy and fully confirmed. But we will be seeing plenty of high-speed cornering, full grip, full push. Good grip is crucial around this circuit. We take a quick look back at the track spec screen. We can see just how twisty it is. Like, you've got the double chicanes, you've got some of the sort of long sweeping right-handers. They're just avoiding a little bit of gravel, but then opening up the throttle. It's going to be a big, big time for overtaking opportunities just before and after the start-finish straight, as well as looking about halfway across the circuit. You have a left-right chicane, and it's going to be a good opportunity for some serious run-in, some serious moves. And of course, see the full graphic, and you do have parts like the bridge. It's going to be a bit of content. It's certainly going to be a bit of content, and I, for one, have high hopes. I have very high hopes for everyone out there tonight. We are just getting final confirm on everyone who is streaming. So we do have a couple of views, and we do have just a few racers ready to go. And we do have a YouTube stream as well, which is going to be a bit of a different one too. We don't really see YouTube streams all that much. Just testing it out right there, and yeah, it's a bit different. Like the bridge goes, it just imposes itself upon the track. But here we are. We are ready to go now. Everyone is queued up, is ready. And I think it's only fair that after enough waiting time, we see them all get on track. We are ready to go. I promise to turn off music so you can cast me. That's the spirit. That's the spirit. Well, you're very much making my life easier. Thank you very much. Do appreciate it. So here we are. I've just got the confirmed that Split 2 is officially ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. But it is time to go racing. It's time to go. Finally, after a little bit of hesitation, a little bit of waiting, we're ready for Split 2. First race, Cordillera circuit, and we have got a brilliant race out there tonight. We'll jump on board with the drivers in just a moment. Of course, let us know who you're rooting for. Let us know what you are excited for out here tonight. And with everything being finally set up, said and done, it's time to go, go, go. The track's about to get hot, and so is the racing. We'll jump on board right now. We can see we have got ourselves everyone jumping in.
I'm not streaming Discord because for some reason my freaking microphone doesn't want to work with my PC, so I'm actually talking to you guys on my phone right now.
I respect the commitment. We go. So jumping aboard different drivers. You see a few different liveries as well coming out nice, although Racer Dan, I think, has zoomed a little bit too much in on the game. A little bit too much zoom. So, I'm seeing support for all different drivers in the chat. Keep it coming through. Oh, looks like we're briefly going to the Shadow Realm there. Oh, looks like we got the mobile version of the site. There you go. We do a little bit of tinkering. Continue to tweak and fix. So everyone loading in now. Hopefully smooth sailing.
Smash all the lights.
Hopefully we do see everyone in. Split 2 was super smooth last time, and I think we've used up all the luck that we had in the tank. We'll just have to wait and see. But here we go. Trackside. A little bit of wiggling. That's one way to get yourself started. But we do have a full set. We have a full set. Wiggles and load times aside. Everyone is in. So that's certainly one way to get warmed up. And I can confirm this absolutely was 100% an intentional decision by the track developer. There is absolutely no regret, and they are totally pulling an extremely straight face right now. We are testing the suspension before the race. We're testing the suspension. I don't have a meaningful segue for this. I'm going to be honest with you all. There is no smooth segue to something like that. But here we are. Everyone getting themselves into track position. Going for the lucky wall tap. If you rub the pit wall, it's good luck. It is canonically proven. You got to warm up the shocks. You got to get the damper fluid. I see they're just doing a little bit of cleaning. A little bit of roadside track surfacing. And that is to delete the traffic poles, the traffic lights. Not traffic lights, the street lights. So a little bit of pre-track prep. And then everyone will be getting themselves ready to go once the surface is prepared. Red flag, red flag. The season is underway, but not before we clear the track. Unsafe track conditions. Red flag, red flag. Switch to 31. Okay, track surface fully prepped. Drivers fully prepped. Time to get ourselves on for the formation lap. So we're on board with Sunken right now, who is slap bang in the middle. They are going to be in P7 here in this session to start out. So just behind Comrade Nick and Luke 33. A little bit of an early push. Get some heat into those compounds, into those tyres. And we'll check in.
Make sure you're still in order.
Everyone. So we jump onto the YouTube stream as well.
A little bit, just for a second.
Plus, Rhett Horizon Plus mentioned.
Guys can go up to 60.
But we're going trackside, finally.
You don't have to take the corners so tight. This is just a formation now. We don't all have to go single file.
That's going to be the thing to get used to, is clicking pauses it automatically. It's just a single click.
Yeah, 60 miles an hour, around 96 kilometers or so.
You need to back off just a bit, bud. Give us some room.
So there you go, you hear the race direction. That is courtesy of none other than Mars. Massive help in the staff team. Really one of the driving forces behind this season. Massive help always.
Yeah, don't miss the checkpoint there.
Don't worry. I got it.
Oh my god.
Everyone now in positions.
There's no worry about like being directly in formation right now, as long as you're like close enough that you guys are fine on the start line. I am gonna start disconnecting people.
There we go.
I wish you guys the best of luck. Be careful into turn 1.
Yeah.
All right, good luck, have fun.
All right, let's do it.
And let's do it. Indeed. Everyone is in form, and we are away immediately with the push. That is formation lap done, and the racing about to fully start. Immediately, 3 wide into turn 2. Big push coming out, and Speed King is going to make a quick run for the lead. Essentially, he has gone for it. He's saying he is going to take no time in pushing for that early spot. Not Ray Gill is going to be also challenging for the run, challenging for the move there. A little bit of space being afforded to him, but it's not going to be much on the docket. We move a bit further down. We can see Gaviol chasing down Sunken and Dunkin' Donut, but Dunkin' has got a missed checkpoint, and he's going to be dropping all the way down to the bottom of the order. Unfortunate to see from him there. Chasing Sunken down now as we head through the second sector of the course. Going into bumper view, And now back into hood view, trying to get the best field of view of their surroundings. Focus on the track ahead as there continues to be scrimming and fighting up further. Looking up at the front now, it's a massive dice and slice as everyone is looking to undercut each other, switch back on one another through these different corners. We're on board with Luke 33 right now. J. Cole is going to be setting his sights on fighting for the podium, but Luke is going to be close behind. Noctrion is putting some pressure down on Speed King, and Not Ray Gill has managed to gain a bit of proximity, but a bit of a bump on the back from Comrade Nick. That is going to be a serious moment there. That is Speed King all the way down into P10. What has happened there? Insane stuff happening at the front of this grid, and right now, Not Ray Gill has got himself a healthy amount of track space. If he keeps a good couple of laps down on the docket, he could take this home right where he stands. So the front four starting to stabilize. Comrade Nick is going to be shortly behind, waiting in the wings, and we'll see, of course, where he lands, ends up from there. Not Ray Gill having a very quiet, very calm race, if I do say so myself. He had an initial run on the first couple of laps, but now he's got a chance to get a bit of space and get himself out there. Noctrion is closely in pursuit, however. He's not going to let that go, although too far, too much speed outside of the bridge, just not gripping down enough, and it's going to be P11 for the second place runner. Unfortunate move for him there. He's going to join the likes of Gaviel and Speed King, who made the same mistake just moments prior. Duncan is much further back as well. Maybe they had a double rewind, or they just had to rewind further and couldn't quite recover in the same way. On board with Sunken, as they've managed to get themselves a little bit of track space too. Turn 2, nice and clean. Just keep it gripped up, keep him pushing. He'll be able to close the gap if he puts down some consistent laps here. Look at the lines and the rubber being laid down on your competitors. See where they are scrubbing the tyres. That will give you some indication of good racing lines, when to brake. You can see, gone for a very narrow line here through into the second sector. A little bit on the grass, but a bit of extend there. Managing to rejoin the track surface with no issue. Well, we jump back down to P11. Gaviel's chasing Noctrion down, but losing a significant amount of time. Noctrion himself is going to go for a bit of a challenge. It's going to be 2. It's going to be 3 wides. There's going to be someone having to yield out of that corner. It's contact between Noctrion and Andrew. Lot of speed being lost. The two of them locked together. That's Speed King and Andrew. Contact now between himself and Gaviel. That's going to be a reset for Sunken there. They are going down into P11, and Gaviel has managed to push up into P9 through all the chaos. Sunken taking a miss and having to reset back down. About a second and a half away from the field, but Duncan is currently about 10 seconds away. So at this point, starting to see a little bit of balance being established, although Luke is still fighting to close that gap to get himself up into P2. J. Cole is in his crosshairs. And it's time to see what he can really do. 19.9, current fastest lap. Certainly some room for improvement there. He can very much afford to push it. Very good bridge section. Keeping it nice and gripped up. Remaining focused. Luke with a bit of a narrower exit than J. Cole. Going for tighter apexes overall, but not necessarily getting the exit speed that they really should be looking for. It is a fastest lap though. 19.6. Certainly commendable. Let's take a look at Ray Gill. It's a 19.5, so just slightly faster up in P1, but it shows that Luke has got the commitment. They're fighting for the spots. They are not going to let anything slow them down. Noctrion, meanwhile, having a recovery, despite early setbacks, is going to be now up in P6 and chasing Bonnie down. We know this is a driver that certainly has some pace on tap. Currently on par to get a 19.1 fastest lap of the session. Luke is also going to be closing the gap, and we will check in with him in due time. Or should I say that Bonnie is closing the gap to Luke, really. We'll stick on board with him for the time being with Noctrion. Very clean lines, looking very controlled here from the Hyundai. Nox has got a lot of work to do ahead of him. But very good bridge section. That's going to be Nick out of the count. That's going to be another car dropping down. And with that, a P5 in the books. Just what he needed there. Very wide exit out of the final corner, but still maintains the momentum, still maintains the pace. It's a 19.2. Seriously impressing on that lap there. Noctrion has certainly got the pace to make this one work. Luke is in third right now. And closing the gap quickly to Bonnie. Noctrion is with the podium in their sights. We stick on board for the time being. A little bit down on the deltas right now. 19.2 is a seriously competitive lap. If they can keep that pace up, they'll very easily be able to make some pressure up on the leads. Looks like the front two have made some serious gains, which indicates that Luke might have made a mistake. Not enough necessarily to be a rewind, but certainly enough to be a maybe almost missed checkpoint. Bonnie is certainly going to be feeling the pressure, though. After a solid lap, not matching the pace, but also not pushing as hard in Noctrion's case. We stick on board with them. Looks like there's a tiny wall tap, and Bonnie has actually taken a bit of a hit in terms of pace. Bit too deep there for Bonnie, having to lose some pace, having to return to the track. This is Noctrion's chance. Down the inside, through the first sector, double apex fully claimed, but too much on the brakes on the exit. Can't push out like they wanted to. Space being left between the two drivers. Costly mistakes on both sides, as they haven't been able to make a clean breakaway from the other. Bonnie remains fighting. Noctrion still on the inside here, as they are going to be going to the right, to the left. Is there going to be the space being left? Looks like Bonnie couldn't get the pace through. And after a hard-fought Sector 1 and half of Sector 2, that is finally going to be a move for Noctrion. Bonnie putting up a very good fight. But even with both sides making a couple of mistakes and a few hiccups, Noctrion has got P4. Going to check a bit further down. Gavial having a little bit of drama of their own as they are chasing down. And no, that is another checkpoint miss. That is another checkpoint miss from Gavial. They're going to try and push it past Sunken, but they just misjudged the width of their car. They're down into 11th now, and behind Duncan. I don't even have to say anything at this point. The Caster Curse works wonders. I've learned to weaponize the magic. Well, you could hear him in the background as well, just pushing and feeling that pressure. Sunken has made a mistake of their own, and they're going to now be taking the P11 spot. The rest of the drivers inheriting a free position. But Gavial trying to chase Duncan down and push on that run. 21.182 is the fastest lap. And they're going to have to really improve that if we want a chance to get up to the rest of the field. They're going for a bit of a narrower run through the chicane. Having to brake early because Duncan was obstructing what would have been their line. Goes for a narrow apex. Little bit of tyre slip as they dip off into the grass two-wheel. Duncan now heavily in their crosshairs, in their sights. Yields a little bit to prevent contact. Bit deeper onto the corner. Straight onto the brakes. Nice and quick. And a very well executed overtake from Gavial as we come to the halfway mark. Extremely clean move. Very impressive. See, check-in on board right now with a little bit of contact between himself and Speed King, but yields off to protect the position. Good racing respect being shown right now. The Comrade putting on a good fight. We check on board with the bottom of the field once again. We see Sunken has closed up to Duncan. Maybe a bit of desync at play with that earlier contact, but we'll have to, of course, wait to find out. Sunken goes very deep into turn 1 and turn 2, so they're waiting to go on the brakes rather than set their line. Maybe that's where they're scrubbing a little bit of time. There's still quite a heavy concentration of drivers, and Gaviel is going to be pushing for another move now. He made it work on Duncan. Can he make it work on Andrew? This one's for P8, as the rest of the drivers have mostly displaced themselves. Andrew is going to be Gaviel's next target. We'll momentarily check up on the other racers, as there could be a little bit of car v-car combat. But there you go, very wide run there. Space still being left, but Gaviel with an excellent move down the inside and heading into the bridge section. Can they keep it? Can they confirm it? Very nice move indeed. Gav with the solid runs, the solid move. And it's going to be another position in the books. Meanwhile, we check back on Comrade. And Speed King has managed to get about a second breakaway. Last lap they were seriously down on pace, in part due to yielding the position. And now we are well over the halfway point. The racers are looking like they have started to find a sense of rhythm, a sense of equilibrium. We jump up to the front. We see Not Ray Gill, of course, having dominance over the track space right now. It's a 19 flat. A 19.0. Seriously impressive. And you can see with how they're controlling their car that they are fairly calm. Not worried about pushing the car too hard. Has done some very good peak pace, but not overly stressing themselves. At this point, they just need to get consistent laps in. They can bank on the rest of the field making mistakes. That's what they're going to have to bank on. Noctrion remains P4. Could be challenging for Luke fairly soon, so we'll have to keep an eye on those guys, as it's going to be very much within the next lap or so. They go for the charge. 19.262 from Noctron is the closest that we've got in terms of lap time to the leader. We may also have some fights continuing to brew down the back of the field, so don't go anywhere, folks. We will soon be coming up to the final phases of race 1. Chasing hard. A little bit of a narrower line for Luke coming up to the bridge. Bit more commitment. A little bit of a rare mistake coming from Noctrion there. Very smooth with the steering input as well. Minimal scrub on the tyres. Really good at balancing the load on that front axle. But this or next lap is going to be where the racers have to show their stuff and have to prove how they are the top of the split. A little bit of hesitation there from Noctrion. Not really sure where to go. How much they wanted to commit to that track space. But we'll see him get very close. Drawing very near to the rear bumper of Luke right now. Luke going a little bit defensive to slightly narrower line. Having to take precautions. Making the checkpoint somehow. Noctron is going full aggression now. It's full push. They are beelining it for the apexes. They want that space. They want that position. They will stop at nothing. It is on. And a great race is about to be had. A little bit of an early yield. Luke has gone full commitment through the bridge. And hunting down the space. Noctron at this point is just trying to read Luke's movements, I think. Locking in their own lap time. Looking to where they can find an opportune point. So good to see you, Vinny. We see you in the chat. It's a shame you can't race, but of course life comes first. So hope all is well in that regard. Hopefully seeing you back in one of the last 2 rounds. Right now, Noctron is perfectly on par with their Delta. They're fluttering on the negative. A little bit of an earlier break. Was trying to be mindful of the car ahead. And heavy on the chase. Noctron is looking for that spot. Question is, how close are they willing to get to Luke? How much are they going to push for that move? Coming up to the bridge section. Don't want to be going for the overtake here. But goes for minimal yield. Still 100% committed to the chase. But Luke seems to have the bridge section on a much tighter lockdown. Wait, what's happened? What's happened to Not Ray Gill? We just check in. He's in 5th. So either he's had a technical issue, or he's missed a checkpoint. He missed a checkpoint. It looks like his stream is significantly struggling as well, so I wonder if there is a technical issue at play. But right now, I'm sure he's going to be absolutely fuming with himself. What is that? What is that happening right now? And what has happened to Bonnie? Bonnie just turned off the track, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure whether we're seeing a connection issue. I think that is a connection issue. Bonnie has just dipped off the racing surface. I think we have seen everything now. We've seen various checkpoint misses. We've seen the leader drop the ball at the last moment. And now with just about 4.5 laps of driving left to go, Not Ray Gill has got quite an amount of work to do. As we can see, the position trade between Luke and Noctron, they've gone for it in the final sector. But the ultimate corner, Noctron goes for it. That's a P2 in the books, but not quite done yet. Luke is still chasing. He's still fighting for it. Let's see what he can do there. As we're going to jump on board with the Chaser POV. And it's going to be Luke. Big send down the apex for it. And it's going to be a 3-way battle now. Not Ray Gill's going to be getting involved. So Luke with a send. Leaving the position back to avoid conflict. Not Ray Gill now going to be on his outside. Sends it through the apex. Noctron closing the door. Not Ray Gill having the apex. Luke choosing to hang back. Choosing to yield a little bit in these final few laps. The Gill chasing the position, and oh, that is contact and big mistake as he's going to yield and nearly cause a major accident between the drivers. This is the full push. This is the fight that we want to see out on track. The drivers pushing each other to be better, choosing to give it everything they've got to these fights. Yielding back the position. Now we have Noctron P2, Luke in 3rd, and Not Ray Gill in 4th. Luke is going to see if he can get an opportunity here in Sector 1. Peeks to the inside, tries to claim the apex, goes down through the double right-hander. He's going to have the apex of the corner, close it out as he opens out to the outside. Excellent move there into P2. Let's jump perspectives. Let's see what's happening from Not Ray Gill's side of things. We've got Noctron and Luke continuing to battle, and Not Ray Gill staying a little bit back. Either through pace or just poising himself for a move. There you go, bit of contact between, but a brilliant move to push into P3, chasing down that space on the apex. There can be times where self-RC is appropriate, like if you make contact but you're roughly at same speed parity, but if you are suddenly braking in an unexpected location on track, that is a serious problem that could cause major issues with the racing. Not Red Gill with a much better bridge section, but can't capitalize on it as Luke is right where he wanted to be. Contact between himself and Noctrion. Could have gone the same way as many other drivers, just going a bit too wide, arcing a bit too far out. J. Cool, though, has got a clean breakaway, and it's safe to say, unless he makes a major mistake like Not Red Gill does, he's got the race in the bag. We're on the penultimate lap 2 of race 1. It's going to be Noctrion taking claim to the apex, significantly alongside space, barely being afforded. And a weak exit is going to keep him out in P4. And now just needs to bring it home. You can hear the tap steer from Gill. A little bit too wide. Is going to compromise his exit speed. Noctrion could capitalize off of this if he feels so inclined. See Noctrion looking a bit further ahead in terms of their stream. And right now, Gill is going to be significantly ahead. Two seconds down. Pace not really being in Noctrion's favor. Lap to lap. But we are on the final lap of racing now. As it's going to be a mad dash for the top 2. Or for the top 4. J. Cool is well away from the field. Several seconds ahead. But Luke, Gill, Noctrion all have a chance to make something out of this. Luke has got a bit of a breakaway. This could be a chance to bring something home. But a big push is going to be needed if any positions are going to be gained. You can see at the back there may be a little bit of dueling as well. Comrade, Andrew, both go for it. Noctrion is going to peek alongside. Contact being made. Barely making the checkpoint. Barely able to keep it within track. You see he's going full force for it now. Full push for it. Not holding back anymore, but it's a little bit too late. I don't think we have the POV for J. Cole, as they are now crossing the line. But we do have the POV for Luke, as he's managed to make this all work. He's got himself into P2. And a solid, impressive run it has been to make it up into that spot. Seriously impressive. And now we have everyone else rolling in with a final dash, final push. See, final 10 seconds on the clock. Checkpoint misses are going to result in quite a hefty amount of DNFs. A very good race 1. And you can see right there, half the grid is going to be DNF'd. That is insane, folks. Absolutely insane. You don't really see this that often. But right now, we look in the presence of 6 drivers not making it to the line. But J. Cole has, through consistency, taken it to the checkered flag alongside Luke with a valiant effort to fight their way to P2. Not Red Gill is going to be conceding, but still retaining a podium after a hard-fought charge back up from a single mistake. And taking the fastest lap as well, so very commendable. Not to be outdone, though, Noctrion is going to be in P4 with Bonnie. And Speed King taking a very good lap as well with a 19.195. Actually outpacing Noctrion in terms of lap-to-lap pace. So second fastest lap and an impressive run. Then not making it to the finish. You have Duncan, you have Gabriel, you have Dan B, Comrade, Andrew, and Sunken. So we will be very soon taking it back trackside. But what a race it has been. That first race has been nothing short of content. I certainly enjoyed commentating over that one. But we will just be moments away from getting ourselves into race 2. And a reminder, folks, that the race 2 has a little bit of an interesting condition. It's a reverse grid for the top 8. So that is going to mean that J. Cole is going to be starting in 8th place. Luke is going to be starting in 7th. Gil is going to be starting in 6th. And so on, so forth. We've got plenty more racing for you tonight. And that's not even to mention Split 1. So get yourselves involved. Get yourselves into the Discord server. Get yourself subscribed to Hoki's channel. And following Hoki's channel. Just in this case, for these 2 evenings, for these 2 rounds, I've been casting it and proud to put it on mine. But if you want the main home for HTCC content, that's where you gotta go. That's where you ought to go. But of course, happy to be here if you want to follow me too. I stream once in a blue moon. I don't really stream for myself because all of my work is for other leagues and other pages usually. Can't really shy away from that one. I always tell myself I'm going to stream more, but it never happens. Life happens, it gets in the way. I'm a teacher, and my duty is to my students, so I can't stream on my own time, because most of my time is doing work, prepping things for them, etc, etc. Wish I would, but got your priorities, you know? And with that, we get ourselves to race 2. So, reverse grid for the top 8. And we have, of course, the look at Split 2, Race 2 from last time out. The race being in that reverse grid does leave a lot of opportunities for drivers who weren't able to get the results, having a surprise chance at points. I mean, you look at Giman. He got P1 from a previous race of being in 6th. That was a major change for them, able to get the breakaway from the field. You look at Master Lee, who unfortunately wasn't able to capitalize in the same way, but it's a shake-up, it's a chance. You have Godly and Dark, despite starting low, still being able to fight their way up. So it's big drama, it's big points, it's big opportunity, and it's going to be wild. We'll see, of course, where it goes, but we'll be very soon pushing for the race. Where is it going to go? Who knows? But time is of the essence. The drivers are ready to go, and the event is set to start any moment now. So if you haven't done so already, get yourselves ready for another race. And when we are done with all that, we will be returning after a short intermission, a short break, with Split 1. The creme de la creme, the best that HTCC has to offer. Some of the best drivers in the biz. You want to stick around for that, of course. But let's see our racers get ready. Let's see them rig up, get ready to go. And with that now being all set and geared to go, we will be setting up the race. So making sure that everyone is connected up in full, and everyone's instanced in the same lobby, and then it's time. So with that race now under our belt, the starting order will be Gav taking pole from P8. We will have Duncan taking P2, Speed taking P3, Bonnie in P4, Noctrion in P5, Rain, aka Gil, in P6, and then Luke and J. with 7 and 8, and then 9 through to 12 is as normal. So we will see those bottom 4 retain their same positions, and we will be seeing what the drivers can do now that we are loading in to race 2 of 2. But for now, time to go. Time to get ready. And time to see our drivers out on field. We are loading in now, and we are just moments away from the racing.
Wait, hang on. Has the invite been sent out yet?
Yeah.
It has. Did you not get in?
Oh, looks like we might have an issue. We might potentially have a driver issue. You heard it themselves from the racers, so we'll have to wait and see. We might take a short intermission, folks, a short technical intermission, if this is the case, to allow everyone to re-instance themselves, get themselves back in the lobby. We may have to reform the convoy if necessary. We do always appreciate the patience. Did we get any bridge moments? We did have a brief one from Speed King. But barring that, nothing that was caught on the stream. I think we will potentially see Split 1 give us a bridge moment or two, however. As those drivers, they do love to really extract every single millisecond out of a lap, to really give it their all. So I would not be surprised if you see some drivers, if not going for it, then for certainly getting very close to the line. But as everyone now gets loaded in, we will wait and see and just get the confirm if we are going to have a lobby restart or if we'll actually be able to go racing after some track surface cleanup. Fortunately, the loading screens do take a little bit when you have a variety of different systems connecting. One of the caveats of this game being available everywhere from base Xbox One all the way to the series. Here we are once again. No shaking this time, it seems. No suspension testing prior to the race. We will see the driver grid, and we can see, yes, we are missing a driver, in fact. We are missing one. So that does mean we are going to be having a convoy reset, a reforming of the lobby. And that will take a few minutes. So we will be taking a short intermission, folks. While you wait, though, we can hear a couple of words from our sponsors, from fellow servers, and from our friends around the Forza community. So now we will see everyone waiting to get despawned and disconnected, but we'll be back after a short word from our fellow peeps around the Forza community.
This is Forza Horizon 5. But what if we could make it something more? Find hundreds of custom maps to enhance your experience. Welcome to the Forza Creators Guild. And creators we trust.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, and appreciate the patience as always. If you do want to join any of the servers or any of the communities that were shown in that ad reel, you should be able to use a quick command. So for example, FCG, HRA, etc. Feel free to give it a go and feel free to join and make your way around the Horizon and the motorsport communities. But with that time now elapsed, we are getting trackside once again. We are going to wait and see if we have to do another lobby restart. Hopefully not the case. Looks like we are making a new session now. Convoy has been fully reformed. Everyone should be connecting up, and we will be about to go trackside. Of course, coming out of that race 1 though, let us know who you are keeping your eye on for race 2. I'm very much keeping my eye on a Nocturne for this one, because I think they have some serious pace on tap, the same as Speed King. We saw them with some really good fastest lap times, and now it's time to put that pace down. They've got a bit of practice, they've got a bit of consistency, and time to see what is happening with the racers. Now that they'll have a bit of a change up in the grid, they've got themselves warmed up. It's time to go though for one more run, and it's gonna be quite a good one. So let's see what they're up to as we now go trackside, and we will see them go.
Nucky P10, then P9. Yeah.
Why? Can I just ask, why do we do rolling starts always?
Because
Why not
standing
standing?
starts are impossible to coordinate with lag.
Okay, because that's what I'm going to try tomorrow. We shall see.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
And on top of that, it's also hard to get everyone into position.
You need to get people into position. You then need some way to signal the start, and there is always going to be desync between the people. Either you say it through Discord, and people have different ping to the voice chat.
We're gonna see if anyone has got shaky. If anyone has got shakies. Oh, looks like we have a little bit here from Luke. A little bit of jumping. Oh, Nocturne is really going for it there. They are in the ground. They are really going for it now. Noct is going for it. But with a full convoy in tow, we will now see, of course, the track surface being cleaned. Drivers coming through and clearing the track space of all debris. And going for the other light poles around the exit of the corner. Yeah, it really is fully connected to the track. Couldn't have said it better myself. So we're just doing a bit of track surface prep, and then we'll be on our way with the formation. Last thing we want is people to be affected by the street lamps. But now we are away. Formation lap. And Gav is going to take pole. So remember, folks, it is going to be Gav, Duncan, Speed King, then you have Bonnie, then you have Noct, followed by Gil. Jay Core is going to be in 8th, and then Luke is going to be swapping around with him to go in 7th. Then you have the bottom 4 as they were formed in race 1. It looks like it's going to be Dan, Comrade, Andrew, and then Sunken at the bottom. Yeah, the only issue with rules of play is that sometimes it can be inconsistent with a full lobby, and the complexity of the logic doesn't always apply linearly. There were some issues in the past with rules of play being implemented. Hence, it's not always a mechanic that is leaned into for some racetracks and event lab creations. But here we go, everyone in formation now. We're going to jump on board with Luke as the racers are teeing themselves up for another go-round, another 19 laps. It's going to be a brilliant race as everyone gets themselves into prime playing positions. Remember, once the leader goes through, that is race start. And looks like a bit of contact with the wall. And there you go, formation is up, the race is up, and Gil is immediately going to be going for that push, going all the way to the ragged edge of the track space. It's 2 wide, it's 3 wide, it's serious contact through turn 2, as it looks like that is going to be Comrade making some contact with the rest of the field. 3 wide again, Sunken making a big charge down the inside through the apexes and going into P7. What a run there. Jekyll is going to be straddling the line between P8, P7 and P9 as it's going to be a mad dash. 3 wide again. Further down, Comrade Nick is going to be yielding and double contact. Big amplification because of the desync slightly between cars. You can see them jolting around. But Luke is trying to make some sense of it all. He's going to be behind Sunken now. Going to try and have a chance at going for this P7. And is going to be going very wide here. Barely keeping it within the track. Barely keeping it on the surface. Jekyll is trying their best to push hard. But Sunken is defending like mad. There is nothing that the rest of these drivers can do to get past right now. Just a little bit spicy, but look at the front. Speed is up into second as well. You've got Not Red Gill, who is up into P5. Noctrion in 6th, and looking like they have got a little bit of a hiccup in terms of their pace. But eyes are staying on Luke, because we know that they want to get past. Let's see how Sunken defends this one. They, again, very deep on turns 1 and 2. Goes for a very wide arc, very awkward to defend, not really leaving the space for Luke there. So tries to go for the apex, tries to assert himself down the inside of the corner. And yeah, bit of bumping, bit of contact. Not the cleanest defending here from Sunken right now. So Comrade is going to be down in P12 here following a mistake. J. Cole was waiting in the wings, waiting behind. Serious fighting, serious contact. Jekyll waiting, biding his time, but he's run out of patience. Enough is enough. He's saying, right, Luke, you hang back now. I have got this. But no, he's going to be blocked off hard. Contact. And Sunken not appreciating that one. You can see them freaking out in the quick chats. Certainly not appreciative of that one. And continuing to honk all the way down into P11. As Noctrion has just made a mistake of their own. They have gone down into P10. Sunken is now in 12. Comrade has gone up to 11. And this has massively changed the dynamic of the race. Meanwhile, Gav, we can get a bit of a time-delayed replay as they have been drag racing with Speed King for a little bit here. Speed is going to have the run in through turns 1 and 2. Very deep dive, but holding and going for the position. Quite a gap being raised there immediately. As things get very dicey towards the bottom of the pack, the top of the field has not only started to gain some space, but has shown us some really good moves. Nicely done from Speed there. And up into P1 for the time being. Now it's up to Gav to see how well he can fight and hold this position. Of course, the pace is going to be paramount and of utmost importance, as you do have Gil, who's going to be watching from afar. Watching Bonnie and Duncan duke it out. Watching the winner take the spoils and go for a challenge on Gav. But Speed has a chance to get a big breakaway here. We saw their one-lap pace being very strong. Gav is going to be trying to push ahead, but meanwhile, Duncan was almost overtaken over the bridge. I don't think we'll ever see an overtake like that. So here we are, Duncan holding firm on the inside. Gil effectively pushing them through the corner. As we have a little bit of delay on their stream side. A little bit of lag going through. And a big issue there, as Gil is going to be dropping turn 2 in a significant fashion. We're going to stick on board with them for now, as we can see that Duncan has made a major mistake, and this could bring him back into the fold. Who was bumper cam? It was Gav who was bumper cam, currently in P2. To our big push, big opportunity. Jekyll is going to try and close some space as well. See where he can pick up the spoils. Waiting and biding his time is the name of the game. Pick your moves, pick your fights. That is going to be what brings you the position. Not knowing about how fast you can go and how to attack, but when to attack, when to go for it is paramount. Arguably more important, Gil once again going for the move on the bridge and confirms it, as it looks like Duncan has missed and gone too wide. Not sure whether that was being a closed, but the confidence was certainly there from Gil, and a heavy push coming out of the bridge. Confirmed an easy run. And now this is when they're going to start to put the hammer down. They have a bit of track to make up. You can see Bonnie and Gav are going to be duking it out for the space. Speed is starting to get away in a big manner, however. And this is going to be a problem.
Oh, Duncan, you almost just sent me straight home, bro.
A bit of a challenge at the back of the field.
Ooh, Andrew, the cut on the inside. Oh my goodness gracious.
Not sure why the stream is lagging here, I'm going to be honest, folks.
Andrew,
Oh, contact. Go for a switchback. Not quite being able to confirm it.
Andrew taking the inside,
But going back and forth.
And destroying any hope of me getting past him.
I really need like a driver audio graphic or something that pops up, as the drivers sometimes do this job better than me. Better than I can do justice.
He tried to close the door on me, but unfortunately I'm just too good.
You heard it here himself. Just too good. Tried to close the door. Not having it one bit. We'll check quickly on board with Sunken. They have dropped significantly behind the field, and it's not looking good for them right now, unfortunately. Several seconds away, and is going to have some serious work cut out for them. Meanwhile, at the front, Gav remains firm in P2, holding the position, holding the spot, and it looks like we have got a bit of a broken POV, so we're actually going to drop that one, I think. As Gil is going to be in 4th, and now has made up a lot of time relative to Bonnie. A little bit of hiccups with the connection there. Might pose a little bit of a threat to Gil going for P3. Doesn't want to have any desync issues with Bonnie here. A little bit of contact between the two, but is going to hold firm on the apex. Is going to push their way through. A little bit of contact, but otherwise a well-executed move, and is up into P3. Now is the chase on Gav. Gil is not going to let this race go to chance like they did the last time. They're not letting it go to waste. Speed is going to be several seconds ahead, but that is their next target. And Gav, right now, is going to be the major obstacle. The one that stands in their way from the spot. Going very narrow. That is a serious contact, and that is... I'm not sure whether that was optimism or hoping that the space would be left, but Gil is down into P7. That's going to be a rough runnings there. And all of a sudden, they find themselves in a bit of a Groundhog situation. It is Groundhog Day again for Not Ray Gil. Gav is going to live to fight another day and live to hold another position. But Luke is not going to take that opportunity lightly, as he's going to be pushing on J. Cool. Now into P4. Could get a chance to run on Bonnie. Let the two up ahead fight. J. Cool is now back behind once again. Gabriel with a very wide move, but Bonnie losing 2 wheels and sliding the car out through the corner. He's going to retain status quo, but Bonnie is going to be reeled in much closer. Very wide arc, nearly going off the bridge there for Luke on the left side, but still keeping position, holding firm. Luke is going to be waiting for a shot, and oh, Bonnie, serious connection hiccup, serious back and forth, scaring me for a second because I thought that was going to be a checkpoint miss. Looks like we are seeing a new tactic on the race defense strategy, which is abusing the quantum dimension. I like to call it MG superposition. It's a new tactic. But regardless, Luke is not going to be taking any shenanigans on their watch, and it's going to be a quick and decisive move through Sector 1 to put themselves on podium. Quality runnings there, but got to keep their head down. Can't let this go to their head, as Bonnie could very easily take the position back again. A 19.6 is great pace and great form here for the GG driver. Speed is still very much running away with it all right now. Look at the gap that they have peeled on the competition. This is a driver that knows wheel and knows how to push. Looks like there's been a serious issue for Bonnie meanwhile. We're going to check in with Noctrion. See, Bonnie, throughout all of their shifting between dimensions, has managed to shift themselves out of a checkpoint and into P8. Problematic situation for them there. They're going to have to fight their way back up to the field. They've managed to superposition themselves outside of the racing line, and now have got a bit of a problem on their hands. Meanwhile, we check in with some of the other drivers. Comrade, for instance, has got themselves a bit of healthy space. They've got themselves a bit of track space on their own. Sunken has managed to put a bit of a better pace down. Fortunately, the sounds of the stream are a bit misleading, as they aren't synced up with the visuals. I do apologise for that. But is trying to chase Andrew down. Luke is going to try and eventually close the gap, and you can see Gav is looking a little bit nervous, I do have to say. They're peeking back. They are looking to where they might have to take more defensive lines. And I honestly would be a bit nervous too if I was in Gav's position. He knows that he's got a driver with some serious pace behind, and while he has got pace of his own, it's not going to be enough to rest on laurels. We can see we jump a bit forward in time. Luke went for a big send through the final sector. Gav did manage to get the switch back and retake the spot. And the fight is officially on. Luke v Gav. Battle for P2. This is for the marbles. This is for the beans. The cheddar, the cherry. Time to go and make ourselves a cake. And it's going to be Luke with the first push here on lap 11. Not just metaphorically, as there's a serious contact on the apex. Luke is going to hold firm on P2, however. And it's going to be Gav to see if they make any return fire. Switching to their perspective. See, they honk the horn. Little sign of dissatisfaction, and now it's going to be in their park. Are they going to be going for another attack, another move? Oh, big contact, and not sure what really was happening there. High aggression being pushed, figuratively and literally, between the two. So it goes for a send on the apex. Racing getting a little bit spicy here as we're on lap 11. Soon to be lap 12. As I believe we do have speed catching up. Potentially about to lap a back marker. Oh, bit of contact on the back. That's J. Cool. Some contact is going to be spicing up the race, but looking around a little bit, we can see that Gil, or Rain, has managed to get themselves back into fighting contention. Noctrion, contact, a little bit of a desync bump there. But racing to try and gain position now. A little bit of a wider arc through that third and fourth corner. Rain is chasing for the spot. And again, looks like a little bit of desync bumping. Putting a little bit of a damper and being a casualty in this race. As he's not really able to judge the distance and see if he can keep proximity whilst remaining behind. A little bit of a wider run. Barely keeping it within track limits. Luke has thoroughly managed to get away from Gav at this point, so eyes are on J. Cool and Noctrion to an extent, as they are going to be duking it out for the next podium position. Looks like we are seeing lag continue. Andrew has now been dropped off and is down into P12. Sunken has got P11 inherited off of that mistake. Let's check on board with Sunken, see how they're doing. Looks like Andrew is going to be hot on their heels and chasing down. Although, what's that? That's speed! Speed is going to be now on the potential verge of lapping. I don't really believe what I'm seeing here. It's so frustrating that the audio isn't synced. It's really throwing me off, I can't even lie, but this is a lapping. Andrew's going to go for P11. Is there going to be a switchback from Sunken? There is going to be an attack back for Sunken, but Speed is on the chase. Speed is on the hunt. And we have a serious competition here, as that is going to be a mistake from Andrew. We officially have our first lapped car. Sunken is going to be now next in the crosshairs for the race leader. Dan and J. Cool are going to trade spots. J. Cool has made a mistake and has dropped down the order. See, looking at, there you go, blue flag rules are in place here at HTCC as a reminder. So good to see the track space being shown and the courtesy being offered. That is just insane. I don't know if we've had a lapped car in HTCC before. I think that might be first of season. Meanwhile, we check in. We see Gil has got past Noctrion. And we see plenty of fight. Still in the tank for one of the top drivers on circuit. Of course, mistakes have permeated this run. Been dropping them down to about halfway through the field. But have consistently also managed to fight their way back up. Ace is no different here. Gav is next in the crosshair.
We'll handle everything afterwards.
See, trying to judge and poise himself, ready for potential moves. And with Gav now going a bit more defensive on their lines through the course. Time is going to be of the essence for Rain to get past and assert their place on the podium. If they want it bad enough, they got to go for it. They got to fight for it well and truly. The racers are going to be running out of time very soon. And with that comes a crucial choice. Do you push and go for a potential position? Or do you hang back? Do you retain stability in order to consistently lock in your points? Remember, too much push can get you in control, or race controls crosshair themselves, get you in a little bit of trouble, or you could potentially just put yourself off of the course. And we're seeing that Gil is going to be taking the push option and is going to be making a move on Gav. Can hear a little celebration from him there as well to boot. Is there going to be any return fire? Or are we going to see Gav prefer to yield back and play a bit more defensive? Remember, Noctrion is still in the wings. So going too aggressive here and making a mistake could cost even more. Noctrion getting those consistent 119s, so pace is of concern. But looking at the field as well now, we can see the rest of them forming up. J. Call in P6, bit of a mistake, but fought their way back up. Dan, Bonnie, Duncan, Comrade, Sunken, and Andrew. Let's check in with Comrade a little bit there.
Oh, why did he tap the brakes? Oh, that was stupid. I'm like running on autopilot at this point.
There we are, final few laps now. Lap 16 of 19, and oh, way too deep there for Comrade. Way too deep. And we can see now that Comrade is in fact in Sunken's influence range. There could be a chance here to go for a P10 if they are going to commit to it and push with all they have. Noctrion is going to be our next point of focus. As we can see, they have a chance to go for P4. Little bit of lighting up on the inner tyre. Such as the way with the diffs on these front-wheel drive cars. Was pulling the car through effectively. Having those cars perfectly dialed in is paramount to a good race. We can see he's losing time. It's about a second on average. But now we can see Andrew is getting lapped by P2, P3, and soon to be P4 and P5. Or looks like Andrew, still on the racing line, has stopped Gav from being able to take ideal movement. So let's see what happens here. You can see, yep, blue flag being respected, getting to a safe point on the track, and now Gav is going to be right up close with Noct. Still already about a second down lap to lap. Time is going to be a struggle to regain. We are on the penultimate lap here, folks. But don't forget, this is for all the marbles. In Speed's case, though, with the amount of time that he's gained up, it could even be an opportunity. It looks like Andrew nearly went into the back and knocked. Looks like his car briefly streaking past his screen. That could have ended in disaster. Yeah, Comrade now down into P11. Sunken has got the place off of him. A little bit of a slide from Noct shows the level of commitment. Looking, Gav is going to go on the defensive. Leaves the space on the apex. Big contact and a spin. That's a spin right there for Noct. I'm not sure what to make of that. Either way, Noct is going to manage to retain P4, but I'm sure he is not going to be a happy bunny with that one. It looks like Comrade was stopped on track there. I don't think it's even possible to get a spin, to be perfectly honest, given the fact that we have front-wheel drive cars. Let's look to the front, though. We can see Luke has actually caught up. Luke has, through all of the chaos, and maybe through a mistake by Speed, has caught up to within a couple of seconds of the race leader. Luke has somehow brought it back in. The gap is gone, but the position is all but sealed, barring a mistake for over the bridge. Final couple of corners here. What a run. It's not going to be enough to attack, but it is enough to set the statement. Luke has been consistent, but Speed showing their full power here tonight and being the first leader to lap another car up to the line now. And what a race it has been. Seriously impressive here in race 2, and your results are going to be making their way through as we speak. In fact, Speed, along with Gil, are going to be going into the 118s. That is insane pace from both the drivers here. Speed is going to take the fastest lap by a hair's breadth, with Gil going into that P4. But there we are, many more drivers making it through. And this time, only 3 DNFs. Sunken Andrew and Comrade Nick, as he's going to be yielding out into P12. Looks like he jumped out of the race in full, effectively. But RC are certainly going to have a couple of moments to review, as it's going to be Speed King who takes the win, followed by one of the few MGs in Luke, going to second place. Noctron is going to take P3. Not Ray Gill in fourth, with Gav, J. Cole, Dan, Duncan, Bonnie, and then our final 3, completing your field of 12. What an impressive run. And what an impressive race from our Split 2 contenders, folks. So, with that all being put to rest now, it's time to talk Split 1. We are, of course, going to take a short commercial break. And when we come back, we've got much to talk about. We've got special guests. We've got Split 1 standings, and we have got ourselves a brilliant fight ahead. So do not go anywhere, folks. Stick around as always, and we will be back soon for the prime racers for the Split 1 of the best. We've got quali to talk about, the previous race, and who we can expect to see coming out on top. But stay right here. We'll be back with you soon.
This is Forza Horizon 5. But what if we could make it something more? Find hundreds of custom maps to enhance your experience. Welcome to the Forza Creators Guild. And creators we trust.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're back, as promised, with Split 1. And with a very special guest, I have to say. Joining us from the Shadow Realm is Hokey Chokey, because he's feeling a little bit ill.
I'm here. I'm back. I'm committed. I'm excited to be here for the full Split 1 cast today. Glad I could make it, even if my voice is a little bit rough. I think it'll be completely shot by the end of this event, because I am sure we're gonna see some good content for this one. Split 2 was a blast to watch. I was sitting in the sidelines while you were casting that one, and just shouting off in chat and getting very excited. So I'm here. I'm excited to be here in the hot seat now.
Yep. And it's good to have you. And of course, I hope you're feeling better soon. But let's talk Split 1. We've got the results from the previous run over at the Lodge Raceway. And Vinny was the one to take the win alongside the fastest lap. Sadly not joining us for tonight, but in a very close second was Mars. And you can see the rest of the field on screen. A clear ESV lockout. Only 2 out of 4 ESV drivers joining us tonight from that roster. But we have got Mars and, of course, track creator Green joining us for the race. And looking at the previous race results versus who we've got now, is there anyone you're going to particularly be keeping an eye on this one, Hokey?
I mean, obviously, you know, I expect a lot from the ESV guys. We've got, what is it, Mars and Green competing on this one. And Green having, you know, the hometown advantage in a sense. Green actually did also make a track for us in Season 1 as well and raced on that one, which was another pretty high content track. He seems to have a bit of a penchant for doing that. But yeah, Green's going to be one to keep an eye on for me, and then MX racing in Split 1 for this one, who I don't think was in Split 1 last time, when we look at that. Correct, yeah. But gotta root for my teammate heroes, MX, on this one. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's nice to see him up in Split 1, of course, going in Split 2 last time and putting up a solid performance. It's a shot at the top league, and it's looking forward to the racing and the kind of content that we can expect. It's gonna be a fun one, but we are going to be getting into the racing in full now. Everyone is in the lobby, it looks like, and everyone is now going to be joining up, ready to go. I think we only have 11 cars, so I'm not sure if we are missing a driver or we are genuinely going to be just running with 11. So Mars was top of quali, Green was a very close second, and then you have Pav, Godly, Snowy, Yang, Strix, Dark, Oceanics, MX, Geeman, and Silver Corolla joining us in the 12th spot. It looks like we are going to be missing Pav out of this, at least if my screens serve. But we are going to be on very soon. And we are immediately going to go trackside, I think. Let's join the drivers.
We're ready.
And let's join them over on with Split 1. Let's look at Mars. He's got a very nice livery from the ESV team.
I gotta say, I love the ESV liveries this season. Troot, the creator of them, always knocks it out of the park. But I love that he's got the specific color accents for everybody on ESV. So we've got the red for Mars, the green for Green, and then who is it? I think Vinny was running yellow. Maybe Barcode was blue, if I can remember that right. But I love those specific little accents for the ESV cars.
You know, I mean, even if we just look over, we can already see it. You've got those different accents, and Green running a little bit lower on the graphical settings, but maximum FPS, maximum immersion. and we will be loading into the track now. So I think we're going to be starting off with... Whoa, okay, we have a little bit of jumpy roundiness, as to be expected from Cordillera. Who's got the bounciest POV? Let's see.
I'm seeing Mars with a pretty bouncy POV here. I think he's got the twerking strategy down on this one. Oh yeah, there it is.
Very much so.
In full effect. We do have Godly with a bit of a side twerk. Oh, it just ended though. He locked it in, closed it down,
locked it in, brought it in, and now is race time with everyone in. We are going to be missing out on Pav, unfortunately. I don't think he is able to attend, so we are going to be running with 11. Of course, track surface to be cleared of all the street lamps. We're going to see. Are we going to get any style points?
Nice and clean. This is just one of the many joys of doing event lab projects on the main map, as you of course can't delete any of the existing world props. It's something I had to deal with at race 1 at Scuba, and I think this is the only other track we have that exists in the main Mexico overworld.
Well, you can certainly hear the drivers getting a bit of a laugh and a bit of a chuckle as they ghost through the poles, trying to knock them down, and the game being a bit too eager to ghost them out. But everyone running along the sidewall now, and the track looks to be clear.
I think we are ready to start getting into formation and get going for race 1 for split 1.
We have got the immersive POV with Phantom, so we'll be certainly checking back on him. And we will see everyone pass by too, as they are going to be getting themselves into position. Now, Phantom aka Oceanics is going to be, I believe, inheriting P8, given that we are missing our P3 runner. Everyone is going to be bumped up a spot, so Godly, also one of the previous winners from the last race, is going to be taking P3 out of that. G-Man is going to be getting a promotion up to P10. And the rest of the field is now going to be forming in a very tight formation lap.
Yeah, these split 1 drivers, they are no stranger to a formation lap, no stranger to figuring out how to do this and start the race as clean and fair as possible. But I don't want to speak too soon. I don't want to eat my words on this one because it's a tight track, especially at the start of the track when everyone's bunched up. So I'm very curious to see if everyone can keep it pretty clean. Split 2 actually did do a pretty good job, I gotta be honest. We did see quite a few missed checkpoints, but when it came to the first lap and that T1 drama, they actually kept it pretty clean. So we'll see if Split 1 can do the same.
Yeah, the chicane can catch a few drivers off guard, especially if they're going for any moves through that chicane. Everyone is formed up now, nice and tightly here for race 1, split 1. You can see handbrakes being pulled, drivers trying to get those tyres up to optimal temperature, get them in that operating window ahead of the mad rush. Soon as the leader crosses that start-finish line, it is game on. So, for the second to last time, here at Cordillera Circuit, it's HTCC, the track is hot once more, and we're coming up to the start-finish line. As soon as that checkpoint is crossed, we are away, and we are off. Go. Let's see who's going to go for it. Oceanics immediately going for the push. G-Man going for a very late lunge there through. Very big gap between himself on formation lap, and that is going to serve him for a potential opportunity. 2, potentially 3 wide at the back of the field. That's going to be Silver Corolla asserting his claim to the apex. A big contact, and MX is going to be pushed down to the bottom of the pecking order.
Mars, by the way, taking an early advantage here right away, breaking out from the pack. Green still fighting a bit with Godly, but Mars taking a very early lead on this one. And if no one else challenges early on, it might be bye-bye Mars, and he's going to be able to just hot lap this one for the whole race. So we'll have to see what happens.
We've seen it time and time before. The breakaway effect and being able to get your gap away from the field, it does allow you to just go into that hot lap mode. It allows you to focus and get yourself into a rhythm of consistent 118s, which I would expect out of these top guys. We saw the split 2 runners start to break into the 118s. We've seen quali times in the 116s. Mars with a .795. So 118's easily possible, and I wouldn't be surprised if 117 becomes a consistent norm.
Absolutely. I was very impressed to see race 2 split 2 there. We saw a couple of drivers break into the 18s. And this is definitely a track where your race pace is going to be off of your quali pace by a little bit, I think, just because it's a very technical track. It's also a very risky track. So risks that you can take in quali might not be those same risks you want to take in a live race environment, where, of course, it's going to punish you quite heavily. So I think it's going to be a challenge here for Mars of how hard does he push. It does look like Green is not quite given up on him yet. And Green, again, having the hometown advantage. We'll see if he can lock in that consistency.
Yeah, we'll also take a look to the bottom of the field. MX and G-Man are going to be fighting it out. We're on board with Oceanics right now, and we're seeing the two of them go wheel to wheel, locking horns through these different corners. Coming up to the bridge section, though, someone's got to yield. It's too wide through the bridge. Bit of contact between G-Man and Oceanics. He's going to have to yield out and concede to P10. But looking a bit further up as well, Serrana up in P4, keeping an eye on the top 3. Green has got himself about a second's gap away from Mars. He needs to make up with Godley putting it down to consistent lap times as well. Initial runs already into the 118s, and those times are only going to drop further and further as the racers get more in rhythm.
Yeah, we're already seeing these drivers hit some pretty serious potential. It does look like our top 3 is already starting to balance out a little bit, although Serrana is pretty close to Godley. We'll have to keep an eye on their combined paces and see if Serrana can be closing the gap and maybe make a run for the podium there.
We'll check in quickly with Dark. As we can see, they are down in P6 right now. We've got Snowy just up ahead. G-Man and MX are going to continue to duke it out, but they are several seconds behind at this point. So we have effectively formed a tale of 2 races. We have P7 through to 11, and then P6 and above. They're going to be in their own contention, and right now, Dark is stuck between the 2. He needs to show that pace and be able to pull himself back up into this main fight.
Yeah, you can already see kind of on the mini-map is a good way to look at it. You can see the grid just kind of splitting off into a couple of packs there. And every driver is going to be having their own fight on this one. But it doesn't look like anybody's too close. I'm keeping an eye. I love that. I got to say, I love the first-person POV from Phantom on that one. It's always fun to watch the in-car, even though obviously most players are in a third-person camera. But yeah, I got to say, just taking a quick look here up at the top towards Green. Green still doesn't look like he's yielding any time to Mars on this one. I'm kind of checking back in. And I gotta say, Green holding his own, absolutely. And making sure that Mars does not break away yet. It's still early, but Green's putting up a good fight.
Still keeping him in close proximity, and that is good. Lock in a consistent rhythm here, and keep your opponents honest. As they keep your friends close, your rivals even closer. And Mars is certainly the one to be under that magnifying glass. With a 17.1, it's looking like some good initial laps from both the ESB drivers. I have no doubt they'll be crossing into the 116s fairly soon once they've got a few consistent laps down. But yeah, you're right. Green is refusing to let go. He's not going to let Mars get any of that early advantage that he so easily can run away with.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you said it earlier, but time and time again in the HTCC, we've been able to see Mars just break away from the pack and then just kind of clean up these races. But when he's put in a position like this, the pressure's on, and it's definitely a bit of a different performance. And I do have to say here, I know you brought up Green's lap of a 117.1. Currently, Mars sitting at a best lap of, I want to say that's 282. Yeah, 117.282. So I want to say Green potentially outperforming just a little bit here, maybe a little bit more potential in the race. I don't want to say, I mean, I got to be honest, I think he's too far back for drafting, so I think that is raw pace there, and that might be enough pace to hold him in a potential P1 position.
Yeah, well, he's got a work cut out for him, so making up time on a driver like Mars is no easy feat. But Absolutely. If there's anyone who's going to be challenging for that, we're looking at him right now. And we're also seeing a bit of a difference between, I believe, Mars running the MG compared to the Link and Co. So slight deviations in lines, seeing where the drivers are pushing in certain places versus others. We're going to watch now about for the rest of the field, but we're certainly keeping an eye to the top for these two, as Green just did a 17.004. The fight is alive, the pace is high, and many more drivers are going to be fighting for their own space.
Absolutely. Yeah, just a quick note on that with the car differences. I do absolutely think this could be a track that does give the Link a bit of an advantage. The Link, as we've seen in previous races, actually has a little bit of a wider hitbox, which means that you can just push a little bit smoother of a line, and on a tighter, more technical track like this, that is going to make a difference. So Green is going to be able to just cut those checkpoints a little bit more where Mars is not quite able to. And so maybe that's why we're seeing him able to hold pace so well.
Well, each car has its strengths and weaknesses, and they can manifest in some unique ways. You're right, the Link does have that little bit of extra width, and that can prove to be seriously beneficial in a tight technical section. You take a little bit of a straighter line, conserve a bit more speed, and that could make all the difference. Meanwhile, at the bottom of the grid, we have Phantom down in P9, Strix in P10, and Corolla down in P11. After an early surge, it's surprising to see them fall back again.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's going to be interesting to see, I think, with the reverse split here, kind of drivers getting a bit of a second chance or a different opportunity. If they fall back in the first race, see if they can kind of make it back up, as long as they're, of course, in that top 8. And start with a better position on grid and see if they can take advantage of that.
And taking advantage of a situation is MX right now. We're coming up to the halfway point of the race fairly soon, but MX has got themselves into 7th and got themselves their own private pocket of the track. There's not going to be any driver either side for a few seconds, and this could be a vital chance to put some serious pace down, start to close the gap without any disturbances.
Yeah, MX has definitely positioned themselves kind of between the two packs here. And so, yeah, if they are able to just hot lap and put down the pace without any worry from behind or any fear of having to battle someone or play any defensive moves, this could give them the opportunity to start to chunk away at that front pack. There's definitely, I'd say, enough time for it now as we're kind of hitting that halfway mark. But time is ticking, and he's got definitely a bit of work to do, but he can possibly do it. I'm rooting for him. My hotline hero.
And looking around the field as well, we jump on board with Serrano just quickly see that they are on the defense from Snowy simultaneously while trying to chase up to Godly in 3rd. The top 2, Green and Mars, have got the breakaway of their own. So ironically, in preventing the breakaway, both have now got it and are effectively running their own private duel between ESV drivers. Who's going to come out on top? You have to wait and find out. But right now, Snowy is looking to press quite an advantage. And I've got to say, I know Snowy is a driver. They are someone who, when you get them in their ideal conditions, it's a serious force to be reckoned with, that new driver.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, even though it does look like, at least at this point in the race, we might be looking at a pretty locked-in ESV 1 and 2. 3rd place is absolutely still up for grabs, and so is 4th. But as Serrana moves up towards Godly under pressure from Snowy, so I'm very curious to see if Snowy's going to start to make some moves here, which could be risky because that is going to slow them both down most likely. It looks like Godly actually might have had a little mistake there. Looks like he slowed down a bit on the straight, but I don't think Serrano was able to fully capitalize on that.
A little bit of a wobble there, but same can be said a bit further behind. Serrano going very aggressive on some of these checkpoints and not quite being able to push fully. Maybe they're getting a little bit psyched out. For all we know, they could be quite worried about Snowy in the rear view, and I know from experience racing with him, I would be too. I was very glad I managed to convince him to come out of retirement, as I think, before that we were running a little bit together back in what was Turf Wars, aka Street Wars Season 0, before it originally came about, its predecessor. and then eventually came back out of retirement for a couple of different Team Wars teams, and now we're here. So good to see him still fighting at the top with the best of them.
That's fantastic. I love to see that HTCC is helping bring some drivers and even casters out of retirement. Not to say that you've retired, but moved away from Horizon a little bit. But yeah, it's been awesome to just put this event on and see these drivers kind of come out of the woodwork a little bit and put down some serious competition here.
Yeah, well, everyone's got to bring their A game because this is split one at the end of the day. We check around the field, we can see Guiman is going to be down in P8 right now and putting down some decent pace, but with the 118.9, it's a little bit adrift of the rest of the field, and it's not going to be the kind of times they were looking for. Last time that lap just completed was a 19.2, so that's not going to be the kind of pace that puts them back in proximity with MX and the rest of this field. They're in no man's land right now, I think.
Yeah, we're starting to see, looks like a lot of the field is spreading out a little bit here. I do see, I want to say Serrano might be very, very slowly gaining on Godly. It's a little bit tough to tell, but just isn't able to make up enough pace and enough time. I do love when the drivers use, shout out to SimHub and Horizon Plus, where we're able to see those deltas and see how they're performing. And it does look like Serrano is performing at a pretty good pace here. Pretty close to their best lap, but it's just not quite enough to continuously be closing that gap on Godly and maybe making a push for a podium position here.
Yep, and those extra telemetry tools, it allows you to do a couple of things. So we've actually seen some drivers go the opposite way. We've seen them turn off the in-game UI completely. Like if we jump on board with Mars for a split second, we can see he's completely turned off the in-game UI and instead has just got the little outputs for position and lap in the top left. Because the more you have on your screen, the more potential distractions. So it's a balance, it's a trade-off. It's what you want out of your race experience, and that's what we got here.
Yeah, it's been really interesting seeing, the different driver perspectives on it, where some people go full focus mode like Mars, where you have him running, about as slim as possible of an overlay where it's just the information he needs. And then you have other drivers that, want the data, they want all the info, they want to see their delta, and they want to see, suspension information and stuff like that. And it's curious to see kind of the two different perspectives on that.
Well, we jump up to the front of the field and we're starting of lap 13. As we can see, Green has got some serious proximity now to Mars. Mars' last lap was a 17.5, and that may be a sign of a little bit of wavering pace for the current leader, as now it's going to be a much closer fight. Green is within striking distance, and Mars better watch out in the rear view. We haven't seen him panic and look back yet, but he is going to have to check his quarters going into these next couple of laps.
Yeah, it's been phenomenal seeing Green just slowly work his way up, and then as soon as he kind of locks into that draft range, that's where it starts to get really risky for Mars there, where he can't just sit there and hot lap and kind of run his quali line anymore. He does have to start thinking about a defensive line. And yeah, like you said, he's not checking behind him yet. I think he's just kind of in that full focus mode, just trying to run his best race. But we are absolutely potentially getting to a point where Green is going to be making some moves. And there's not a lot of time left as we're kind of entering the back half of this race here, back quarter of this race even. And time is ticking, but Green is not only hanging on, but absolutely closing that gap and on this straight in that draft range, which is going to keep him pretty close.
Well, he's seriously pushing that car now. You hear how much he's engine braking, particularly through that final sector. Mars is going to be right there in front of him, and we have had, unfortunately, a disconnect. We lost Silver Corolla, so he is going to be finishing technically DNF or /P11, and that is going to be unfortunate. Hopefully he'll be able to get back in for race 2. Might be a little bit of an extended break between the two races as a result. We can see Mars is now going much more aggressive on his racing lines and a little bit more defensive. He's very clearly aware of his opponent now, and this is where the fireworks start to happen.
Yeah, we're seeing Mars start to kind of take ownership of the track, make sure he's playing a good defensive line, make sure there's absolutely no room on the inside as we see Green just scooting right up to his bumper there and absolutely kind of just waiting for any possible option to make a move. But I don't think we're going to see a lot of those same passes that we saw in Split 2 where drivers might have been leaving some space. Mars is absolutely skilled and qualified enough here to run a good defensive line and keep the pace up. And we'll just have to see if Green is able to find anywhere to make a move. And when he decides to make it is also going to be very important here because, of course, making one move is not a guarantee for first place because Mars is not going to give up that position easily. And that's just going to mean that the pressure will be on Green to hold a position. So he's going to have to decide if he wants to just take it at his earliest possible opportunity or maybe wait towards the end there and just see if he can lock it in without giving Mars a chance to go for a pass back.
Well, one thing that we do know is that a single overtake does not the position make. Those two are starting to make a little bit of out-of-character mistakes. Maybe a little bit too much of an extension here, having to dip the handbrake there to get the car to rotate. Didn't expect it to understeer as much as you did. The two of them are both trying to gauge each other, simultaneously push to close the gap, or open the gap in Mars's case, and are starting to have a little bit of pressure start to build on the other. We do see a battle as Serrano and Snowy are going to be fighting side by side. Meanwhile, jumping on board with them, it's a solid run down the inside for Serrano as they're on the defensive. Snowy's going to have the left side, though, heading over the bridge. It's going to be barely able to make the space for the both of them. Snowy still keeping it close and keeping it tight as we go into the final chicanes now. Space being left by Serrano. Snowy just about close enough to still pose a major threat. Serrano is under some serious pressure, some magnifying scope right now, but they are locked in. They are fighting. Locked in anymore, and I consider it a prison sentence.
That was some incredible confidence on display there from Serrano over the bridge. Definitely could have backed off and let Snowy take the position, but we just saw Serrano go full lock, hold on to that position for now, and still keeping it through turn 1 and turn 2, but absolutely under pressure there from Snowy. That was a great battle to watch.
And meanwhile, back up to the front. Back up to the front now. These two are in such close proximity to one another. I can't help but check back in. And they are really pushing each other to the ragged edge now, to the limit. See, jumping on the brakes, almost identical times. Engine braking within an inch of that powertrain's life. As we come up to lap 17 now. The fight is on. The pressure is on. The time is running out for Green to make this move happen. And as he's chasing in the rear view, they're both equally matching around the 117 mark.
Yeah, it's impressive. I haven't quite seen Green break into that 16 yet. I've been checking on Mars. I don't know if Mars has either. But yeah, both drivers absolutely driving at their limit here, pushing the cars to their limit. And looks like Green got a bit of a inside line there, trying to maybe go for a move, but it's not going to pay off, and that'll put him a little bit further back. But we'll have to see. It looks like he can close the gap soon enough here.
Both of them really maximizing the track space and taking every millimeter of that course that they can afford to take. Dipping into the grass temporarily, 2 wheels on, 4 wheels on. As long as they make those checkpoints, it's fair game, and that's the beauty of Horizon.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you just don't see in a lot of other games and racing leagues, even in the real life. Even in real life, this is definitely a place where you get a little bit of a different form of racing. Yeah, as long as you just make those checkpoints, you have different braking strategies here, like you said, with the heavy engine braking, helping out the braking line. And it looks like these guys know how to drive them to their absolute limit. Towards the back, by the way, I got to say, Serrano still holding on, defending against Snowy. Snowy just not able to find a spot to pass here as we enter the final couple of laps.
Penultimate lap now for the leaders and the rest of the drivers soon to follow. Godley has made a clean break by a few seconds at this point, and they have got a race on their hands further down as Serrano continues to defend from Snowy. Couple of other drivers to watch out for. It may potentially turn into a bit of a battle for MX, as there's going to be a bit of fight. Anyway, moving on now. Snowy is going to go side by side through the apex turn 2 here. And the rest of the field actually a lot more spaced out than initially anticipated. But Serrana, Snowy, left kink, and then off to the right. Is he going to be able to hold the apex here? The new driver is going to go for it. Holding through the double right-hander. Serrana is going to have the exit, though. If they can cordon it off, they can retain position, which Serrana's done.
Again, super confident driving from Serrana there. This is now the second time we've seen Snowy kind of poke their car up and try to go for a pass, put them side by side. But Serrana is absolutely not giving up. They've been super clean, the both of them. And Serrana is just showing some good mastery of the racecraft and the race line there.
Yep,
oh no, and I gotta say, Green unfortunately just missed a checkpoint up at the top. I scanned away just at the moment, and I think that is going to lock in Mars for a pretty comfortable P1 here. Green put up a heck of a fight, but looks like he cracked under the pressure right at the very end. I didn't quite catch the moment, but I think that puts us in a pretty comfortable, locked-in podium here.
The consistency is paramount at this level. It's not just about having the pace. It's about being able to put that pace down lap after lap after lap after lap. And that is unfortunately where Green has faltered on this one. Immensely fast driver. I believe fastest lap, or at least was lapping consistently at higher speed. Was able to close that gap to Mars, but in the end, consistency triumphs. Mars is going to make his way through the final corners, a .052 to finish that last lap. And as we round out the final turn, the left-hander down through the small kink and into the finish line here. What a race. What an immense battle at the top end. Laps are going to be flying in, and it's a 16.9 for Mars. Only driver to cross into 16. He did manage to do it. And
there you have it.
Seriously impressive run from all.
Yeah, fantastic driving for everyone. Green putting up a hell of a fight there right up until the end, making sure Mars did not just have an easy hot lapping session. Had to put the pressure on, and the pressure is absolutely not over, because this does now mean that Green is going to be starting on grid one position higher in P7 now for our reverse split race. So I'm excited to see how the drivers can navigate their way through the pack on a tight track like this.
It's going to be quite an interesting circumstance they're going to have to fight their way through. But kudos to Mars for also claiming the fastest lap alongside the winner of the race. He's going to start P8, followed by Green. Second in race 1, going to start P7 in race 2. Godly with a podium, continuing to put down impressive results with that third place, is going to start P6. Serrana with a P5 start, following a P4 finish in that MG, and so putting down some brilliant pace themselves. Snowy's going to be going up into P4. Dark is going to go up into P3. MX into second, and Giman is going to be taking pole position here for race 2. Followed by Oceanics, aka Phantom, Strix in 10th, and Corolla, if we can get them back in. I'm not sure if there is going to be a circumstance where they do get back in, but they would potentially be P11.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what our grid's going to look like. We're obviously already down one driver. I think we lost earlier, but we'll see if we can get Silver Corolla back in. Also, worth pointing out, I gotta say, there's that great battle between Serrana and Snowy, and just looking at their best laps, again, incredibly close. Serrana with a 17.838 and Snowy with a 17.873. And then for what it's worth, you also have Dark with a 17.853, kind of right in between. But it's just amazing watching. You know, you've got the split 2 drivers where we were seeing times in the 19s, and then just a couple in the 18s, and then here, of course, just one split higher. Just that difference in caliber of driver, where here you're looking at 17s and even a break into a 116 from Mars there is just absolutely incredible to see how much pace these drivers can find.
Yep, and we are just looking at the results from Split 1 Race 2 previously. So round 3, back at the lodge. You can see, of course, the two different dynamics. You sink or swim with this 8th place reverse grid, and we will see how the drivers respond to this unique challenge. Mars, of course, being the winner of this race, and last time out got second following the reverse. Green managing to gain up from his P6 and into a P4 spot. Was coming out of the race today. He's going to have a bit more work cut out for him, so we'll see just how much he can gain back. And the star of the show was Vinny, making it all the way from P8 to P1 and getting a unique double win. Absolutely dominating both fields. While we can't see them tonight, we will see the rest of these drivers put up just as much of a battle, and I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, as am I. Of course, it's a bummer to not see Vinny come back here for this race. Hopefully we'll see him again later in the season if he's able to get a little bit more free time. I gotta say, I'm loving the variety of cars we actually have here for Split 1. I think for race 1, we only had a single link in Split 1 driven by Green himself. Now we've got both Snowy and Dark driving the links, putting up a good show. Actually, looking at the podium, we have all 3 cars sitting at the top there. Mars with his MG, of course, and then Green with the Link, and Godly with the Elantra.
Yeah, so the variety is alive, and the racers are still going to be, despite the different cars, bringing in those times and bringing their A game in. So now it's going to be a little bit of an interim period as we get the drivers back in for race 2. Now, we would jump straight into it, but we do have to get Corolla back in order for them to join race 2. They did disconnect, remember, about halfway through the race, or just after halfway through, so we're just taking a bit of time to get them back in. We'll take a short intermission, folks. We're going to take you back to the intro screen for a brief cutaway, and then we will be jumping straight trackside with you once we are back and ready to go. So stay tuned for now, and we will see you very soon. Welcome back, folks, and welcome to the race in full. Now, we are going trackside. Of course, let us know your predictions as to who you are wanting to see on top, who you want to see dominate, and who you think is going to surprise us out here in race 2. I'm going to pass that question to you as well, Hoki. Who do you think is going to be a driver that we should keep an eye on heading into this second race?
Tricky one. I gotta say, I'm very impressed with Serrana's ability to hold their own against Snowy on this one and scoop up a pretty good position in this race. They're going to be starting what was it? I think P5 now with the reverse split. You can correct me if I'm wrong there. But yeah, going to be starting from a pretty solid space and has kind of shown their own as a driver who's able to defend and keep it clean and keep it consistent. So I think that's who I'm going to be keeping an eye on. And then, of course, we'll have to see how the ESV guys can navigate their way through the pack. If they can scoop up some positions early, or because this is a bit of a tighter and more technical track, if they'll have to be working their way through some traffic throughout most of the race.
Yeah, well, it's certainly got his work cut out for him on the traffic front. And say Serrano is going to be, you were right, so it's going to be P5 start. So now we're just loading in to the race. We're going to start things from Green's point of view, after, of course, the mandatory track cleaning and inspection, as advised by our good friends over the track making division. Who, of course, we're going to check around, see who has got the best POV. Mars, once again, absolutely going for it. He refuses to be defeated. Refuses to be defeated, and that includes the earthquake department.
I mean, Mars just has to be the best at everything, and that clearly includes twerking, and we're seeing that on display here.
Oh, so a little bit of fun and games. We do see a little bit of hopping from Godly. Serrano was just in the Shadow Realm.
Everyone's got their own strategies here for this race start. I like it.
Yep, looks like they're adopting, who was it? It was a Bonnie's tactic of quantum superposition from the previous splits to phase out of reality itself.
I mean, you never thought you'd see it here in the HTCC, folks. Not only did we get our first lapping, we got one of our first spins, but we also have, quantum phase shifting superpositions here in the HTCC. It's just a caliber of racing that only the HTCC can bring you.
Yep, and in today's episode of Schrodinger's Overtake, we have Serrano giving a bit of track clearance, clearing all the poles, and now we are ready for formation with the track surface fully cleared. Everyone's going to get into prime position, and we will, of course, have that reverse grid in effect. So Gearman is going to be leading and taking pole here from the start. So it looks like we're already seeing a couple of quick misses and a bit of fun and games, as there's a bit of bumping around and a bit of haberdashery coming in from some of these drivers.
So just shaking off some of that pre-race stress, I'm sure. Get it out a little bit earlier, and leads to a cleaner race. I'll go with that for the strategy.
Yep, get all the dirty driving out of the way during formation. Rough up your opponents a little bit, and then we get ourselves into the racing good and proper. Godly making himself very much at home. And now we see massive slides as everyone is going to try and get those tyres up to operating temp ahead of race start.
Somebody in the chat, or maybe Sappy, if you can maybe comment on this, but this is actually, I believe, the only track we're running in Season 2 that's using the official track props that Playground added a few months ago. Most of the tracks we're running are running that standard, flat asphalt platform, which is pretty well known to have a little bit less grip than the standard Mexico roads in the main map. But this is a track using official parts that have inclines and declines, so bit of a different track surface.
Yeah, and we're going to see that put to the test now as the track is hot for race 2, and we are away immediately with a strong start. Geeman and MX already getting a bit of a gap, and we see Dark and Snowy jostling for track position. 2-3 wide. Serrano is going to place themselves firmly in the middle of that combat. Godly's getting involved. Mars is going to be peeking down the inside as well. It's a mad dash for position in these opening laps, as there's going to be massive contact and drivers going off. That is going to be the death nail for Serrano's race immediately. Godly being displaced to P9. Green is still hanging on to P5 as Dark is going to be alongside, barely making the track space with the Lincoln Co's hitbox. But Mars is going to push through as well to gain position. What an opening lap.
Some immediate drama on that one. So unfortunate there for Serrano getting pushed out on that one. Couple drivers getting knocked out. But yeah, and we see here Mars, Green, and Dark all fighting there in that mid pack, and we'll have to see if they could break away.
Yeah, the breakaway is really what they need right now. They need some calm. They need to establish a rhythm if they're going to make this race work in their favor. We look a bit further down. We can see that Godley is going to be in P8, getting past Strix. And after that early hiccup, they need to get the momentum and calm down again. Get themselves into fighting form. And it looks like, my eyes may be playing tricks on me, but it looks like Godley has got his stream actually set to the right. It's clipping off some of the left side.
Yeah, no, I actually do see the same thing. A little bit of a little OBS hiccup there.
But regardless, he's going to keep committed to the race. That's Phantom just up ahead. Remember, he's an immersive cockpit view, so he's not going to have the same field of view and be privy to the same information. You are going to see him alongside. That's Godley going for a move around the outside, closing the door with the double apex. And a clean, nice pass through, although a bit too much extension on the grass. A little bit wide. That could give an opportunity for Phantom to claw it back, unless Godley gets the reins on it.
Yeah, we'll have to see if it looked clean at first, but looks like he just pushed a little bit wide on the outside there. And we'll see if Oceanics can capitalize on that here pretty soon. But it's looking like Godley has that one pretty locked in and can potentially start trying to move their way up and focusing down dark there.
We take a peek up to the front and we see the majority of the top 5 have condensed together. Green bumps the wall on the exit of the final corner, drops himself by a few crucial tenths of a second away as MX, Snowy, Mars all fighting for the same position of P2. Mars going a bit narrower, trying to set themselves up to take the apex on Snowy. Gets it through. That's going to be 1. That could be 2 with a good exit there side by side with MX. That's a mistake from Geeman. They missed a checkpoint. MX inherits the lead, but it's not for long. Mars is going to be chasing that spot, still remaining committed to the inside line, and it's going to go for it. In the space of a couple of corners, Mars has taken himself all the way up to the top rung. Green, like a vulture, picking up the spoils of the fight, and very quickly ESB takes back the front row.
What an unbelievable time there to swap over, seeing G-Man, who was sitting in a bit of a distant first there, just succumbing to the pressure right away. And then, yeah, Mars getting that double pass on T2. And like you said, Green just latching himself onto Mars's coattails and following his way up there into that position. We've seen these drivers in the course of just a couple of corners go from the mid-pack up to the top 2 positions. And that is what ESV is good at.
They know wheel, they know how to fight, and they know how to displace other drivers quite quick. They've proven that here, and it looks like G-Man is going to be trying to reclaim some of their track position. Corolla is going to be hot on the coattails. Unfortunately, the miss, though, is going to be displaced into P11. Serrano is behind, chasing down. And we'll check in with the rest of the field as well momentarily, as it looks like there's a tale of 2 battles. MX is going to be under some pressure, as Snowy is going to be just behind. And then Green and Mars, once again, back up to their old tricks and their old battle, reignited from race 1.
Yeah, we've seen them kind of just fall back into that same pattern. I think we're going to have to just keep an eye there again on those top 2 positions. But yeah, it's great to see we've got Serrano kind of recovering from that early upset and able to get in some action here with Mr. G-Man, who also, unfortunately, had an upset there on lap 4. But at least they're going to be able to battle it out together, get a little bit of action, and then maybe see if they can work up towards Strix and Oceanics and get into that mid-pack there. And then maybe fight their way up and see if they can... Oh, and I got to say, Strix, by the way, just going for a pass there on MX. We'll see if he can lock that in. A little bit of a fight there in the mid-pack with MX being pushed down into P8.
Well, we're locked firmly on the top of the field right now as Green and Mars had a rare altercation. Green actually managed to get alongside through the final sector and is very much making it clear that this time he means business. No more mistakes, no more slip-ups. He wants that P1 and he's going to fight for it with his ESB compatriot. No matter what it takes, he's putting on a good show for us all here at home. And Mars is going to have to watch his 6 as there is going to be a Link & Co. very close behind if not side by side with him, if previous lap is anything to go by. Green's going for it. He goes on the apex. Little bit of handbrake as they do barely make that checkpoint, even with the Lynx generous hitbox. Once again, set themselves up for a potential switchback coming over the bridge section. A little bit of cresting over and bumping the rev limiter. Mars does hold firm, though.
Yeah, you can see that drive from Green, that need to make up for his mistake there in race 1. Clearly, early on here, showing that he is not playing around, and he is willing to go for a move if he sees one.
He sees that. He's going to take it. And then you look around. We do see a little bit of changing up in the position. We do check on board with Serrano. We can see that Guiman is going to be in P8. Serrano hotly behind. And MX is going to be down in P7 right now. As the two LDAC drivers, Dark and Godly, have managed to take 4th and 5th. Snowy with a confident 3rd place. He's going to hold on to that podium with relatively little challenge. Gearman is going to go down the outside or the inside of MX as the two of them are going to continue to lock horns through this first section.
Yeah, we've got, like you said, a bit of a tale of two battles here. We've got some great fight towards the back, but it's hard to take my eyes here off the top there with Green and Mars, where something could be happening at any moment. You just see him not even inches away from his bumper. But, yeah, unfortunately, we do see MX falling back down there into P9. Oh, and we got Green side by side. And even a little bit ahead here of Mars, but Mars is going to have the inside coming into that penultimate corner. Oh, and a little bit of a switchback there, and Green is going to be hurt coming out of the main straight. You can see him doing a bit of a frustrating spin there, a bit of a tough move, and that's going to put him a few tenths of a second back from Mars after that little altercation.
I think there's a little bit of optimism from Green there, to be honest. Mars was fairly set on his line, and going for that switchback could have worked. Oh, big kick of the rear axle as Green is pushing a little bit too far to the edge of the track, and the dismount off of the racing service has cost him there. Mars does have a chance to break away. Green needs to lock back in. He needs to get his head in the game again if he wants to continue this battle. But I think there was a little bit of optimism, and Mars was always going to curl his car back in. His line was fairly set, so unless he got significantly alongside further than he did, I don't think that would have been a move that necessarily would have worked.
Yeah, that would have been a very tough move to lock in. I think that was a risky play for sure. And clearly we can see Green a little bit shaken after that one. And it's going to be kind of decision time here of can he buckle down and close that gap and get back in that drafting range, or is Mars going to be able to break away and clean up a second race win here for event number 4?
Serrano is the driver who we ought to pay attention to, as despite some early setbacks, they are on the hunt for those track spots. Geeman is next in the crosshair, P7 on the line, and then Strick shortly after. A little bit of a wider arc coming in from Serrano on the final corner. As we go into lap 9, though, it's looking like they are setting themselves up for a bit of a run into the first sector. Bit of DSIC contact, but that's not going to stop them.
Yeah, we're seeing Serrano just try to push their way up there. We're kind of hitting that halfway mark for the race, but you can see there's quite a few positions up for the taking if Serrano can lock it in. But looks like they're struggling a little bit to make a move on Mr. G-Man, moving a little bit far behind there, but I have no doubt that they'll be able to close the gap yet again.
Well, these top drivers are going to be getting a bit of a break away from each other. We can see on the minimap for a split second that you had Snowy about 2 seconds away from Green and Mars. Green himself on the verge of a second's gap between himself and the race leader. So eyes really are on this mid-pack. That's where a lot of chopping and changing is going to happen. We see Gearman making a potential big mistake, having to quickly kick the car back into the left side, barely keeping it within those checkpoints. And that is an opportunity for Serrano to strike. Use the opportunity afforded by the driver making that mistake, getting themselves out of that flow state. This is where you need to push for that move. And Gearman is already much closer than at the start of the lap prior.
Absolutely. Just a quick catch up on the other side of the pack there. Godly, unfortunately, just missed a checkpoint. Didn't put him back too far, though, just behind his teammate there, Dark. So Dark's going to be moving up there into P4 with Godly a little bit behind.
And now a brief tune in a little bit further ahead, as we do have, of course, Godly. And it looks like he's made yet another mistake, as he's going to be going in to P9 now. Bit too much of aggression on those curbs, and it has cost him dearly. He could maybe peel this back and still get a couple of positions, but he needs to be absolutely perfect from this point forward.
Yeah, that is definitely a rough sequence of events there for Godly, who performed very well in our last race and performed well in the last event for race 3 there. But we'll see what he can make of this. Still about half of the race left. He's got some work cut out for him. But MX, Serana, and G-Man all kind of battling it out there. Just a little bit ahead of him, just a few seconds ahead of Godly there. So we'll see if maybe those battles can slow those drivers down a bit and give Godly the chance to catch up and show his face in that pack there.
Time is of the essence, though. We are on lap 11, and that is very soon going to be closing down the opportunities available. Checking in with Serana, P7, and G-Man in P6, although making a little bit of a mistake on those first couple of corners. That's going to afford a vital opportunity, and that is going to be a chance that they could strike. However, not getting the exit speed, and G-Man still managing to peel a good amount of pace from that first sector. I mean, Serana remains locked behind the Aldac driver. Even a bit of contact as they're getting a bit frustrated, and they're trying to find some space that is just not being afforded at this point.
Yeah, we're seeing a few wavering mistakes there from G-Man, but Serana's just not quite been able to capitalize on them. G-Man's been quick to recover there, and I think this is affording MX, who's not too far behind, the opportunity to catch up and maybe add himself into the mix for this battle here in the mid-pack.
Remember, every time you fight, defend, attack against another driver, you're off the racing line. And when you're off the racing line, you are dropping serious tenths away from the ideal pace shown by the other drivers. That can bring, as we've seen here, third parties into the mix. MX is going to be that prime example of a driver who's just letting the two drivers ahead fight. Let them fight, let them cook, and at the end of it all, pick up the spoils, take a free position, maybe even two if they both put themselves out of the running. So you can see both of them getting very aggressive with one another now, starting to lose patience as G-Man and Serana both are going to be making some contact and barely squeezing within checkpoints now.
Yeah, MX definitely showing up here and just waiting to capitalize on any possible mistake. See if we can maybe get a double pass if they push each other a little bit wide. But for right now, they're just running side by side through each and every corner here. Lots of contact, but they're keeping it relatively quick. I'm not seeing any big mistakes here yet. And it looks like Serana might be eking out
that's a
little bit of
bridge.
advantage. Oh, no, but for the first time on cast, we see Serana go off the bridge. And that is going to be a major, major upset for Serana's race there.
The first bridge moment, it wasn't from split 2, it was from split 1. The drivers pushing themselves literally to and over the ragged edge. Serana's going to be the primary casualty, but the rest of the drivers are going to be hit as well. G-Man has now turned into a litany of mistakes as they have had to rewind, and they are firmly in P11 out of the contention, which just leaves MX, who has been, I'd say, out of that whole altercation, they came out the best. They stayed behind. They didn't get too involved. They did sort of insert themselves into the middle of the conflict, but now they have got themselves on the back of Godly, and this could be a chance to gain some positions again.
Yeah, MX just kind of able to clean up after that mess. And by the way, I don't know if chat can maybe comment on this, but we have Green currently sitting in P3. I don't know if there was a missed checkpoint perhaps there, but Snowy has moved up into P2. We do have Green not too far behind him. I am guessing we must have seen a miss there from Green, and that might mean we'll have a little ESV sandwich with Snowy in the middle. but we'll see if Snowy can hold on to that second position or if Green will be able to claw their way back.
Yeah, a bit of a mistake there from Green. And those tenths would be invaluable in a race like this. So Mars, ruthlessly consistent as he is, might have this one in the bag with just about 6 or 5.5 laps of full core driving to go. Snowy, though, is going to have to put on a defensive showcase, as Green is going to be very much frustrated, very much pushing to try and get P2 back following that moment. And even after the reset, we saw 17.6, so quite a drift of their usual pace, even though they are, I believe, the second driver to get into the 116s.
Yeah, I was just seeing that there. We did have a 1:16.996 from Green on a best lap. But it's not just about that pace on the one lap. Oh, and we do actually see Green getting side by side with Snowy. Snowy with the inside, though, here coming into the penultimate corner. And I think Snowy might be able to hold on to that. But we do have them side by side down the main straight here. And Green actually getting a better exit out of the corner. I don't know if there was a little bit of a draft slingshot there or something. And Green locking in the pass there. A clean move in turn one.
Very clean, very effective move there coming out from ESV Green to take the second spot. A solid setup, great defending from Snowy, and good sportsmanship shown throughout. He left enough space to avoid any potential mishaps, and that sometimes can be more important than anything else. But after a little bit of combat, it is going to be once again an ESV 1-2.
Absolutely. A little bit further down the pack, we do, by the way, have Godly currently sitting P6 and knocking on Strix's door. Strix in P5 actually did just make a little bit of a mistake, and there was a bit of contact there with Godly, but Strix holding onto that P5 position. Although I gotta say, it looks like Godly is itching to make a move here.
Yep, very much determined to get some positions up. Saw some of the chaos around them and doesn't want to take any chances with continuous battling, losing the patience. They want a decisive move. They want to get it done, and they wanted to get it done yesterday. So see, he can try and close the gap. Strix going very defensive, but Godly going even more aggressive, practically on a standstill on the apex of the corner, being bumped through by Strix's front end as they literally park it on the apex to secure the P5 spot.
Yeah, that was quite the move there from Godly, slowing down, getting real inside on a very, very tight corner. But that is going to give him the P5 position. And again, he's going to be right there next to his teammate, at least on the leaderboard. He's obviously got a few seconds to go up there from Dark, but going to get the position for now. And we'll see what happens behind him, though, because we do have Serana, MX, and Snowy all pretty stacked up. Again, in that mid-pack fight.
Yeah, so MX is going to be the next one to take a pot shot at Strix, following a little bit of a drop in pace from the MG driver. Big contact between the two, however, not really getting the chance to make a break for it. And Serana could take a chance here to close that gap, to make some moves, and to make it all happen for them. After that early upset, and then again with the bridge, they really just want to get some good laps down and want to bring a good position home. At this point, just want to bring it home.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some pretty serious resilience here from Serana. Again, that very early upset and then going off the bridge there kind of in the middle of the race, but still sitting here in P8 with a potential here to definitely pick up a few spots, going side by side on the inside with MX. And then might be knocking on Strix's door here down the front main straight.
Yep, pushing for it. Got a solid P7 move there through the final chicanes. And then down into the first corners. It's very clear they are going aggressive this run. They want that P6 and they want to lock it in ahead of lap 19.
Yeah, seriously impressive. And we might be seeing that P6 coming right here as they just kind of take control of the driving line. And again, side by side here with Strix, but we'll see. Strix does have an advantage for now, but Serana on the inside might be able to scoop up that P6 right there, and we'll see if they can lock it in. Goes to the inside, takes command of the apex, and locks in that P6 after quite an upsetting first half of the race, but we'll see if they can hold on to this.
coming up very soon to the penultimate lap. Things are looking fairly set in stone for some of our leaders. We're going to check in with Mars, for instance, who is already on lap 18 and is pushing quite hard still, despite their advantage. They're still in the low 17s, and it goes to show that even when you're ahead, you can never afford to rest on your laurels.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though, it does look like Mars has an easy race up at the top, absolutely, he still has to keep the heat on for this race. He's got to keep cooking because he just can't let go at all. Otherwise, Green would have been able to catch up to him. But yeah, it does look like our podium is getting pretty locked in here, and it looks like maybe the mid pack is where we're going to see any potential action as we come into the last lap.
But now, coming up to the final lap, we take a check-in with the rest of the field, and Dark is going to be in P4, and a driver who really has not been all that bothered. They had a little bit of an altercation with their LDAC teammate, but other than that, you can see there's several seconds ahead, several seconds behind. Dark is in a very weird place, because despite their best lap only being a 118, the consistency alone has brought them to P4, alongside some solid pace.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely just goes to show that consistency and clean driving matters almost more than anything here. Obviously, you've got Dark just able to put down a consistent, clean lap time and time again, and not be missing those checkpoints. And he's clearly being rewarded by that here with looks like a P4 coming into that final lap.
And as we come through the halfway point of the final lap, we've had some amazing racing throughout both Split 2 and Split 1. But like with Vinny before him, there is one driver who has shown nothing short of dominance. It's fastest laps, it's winning race 1, it's having a several second gap through race 2 by the end of it all. Coming through the final couple of corners now, and soon to be crossing the finish line. ESV Mars, take a bow for the kind of racing weekend that you have just had. Down the crest, into the start-finish line. What a race. What a racing pair. And both the ESVs holding their heads high. But as we come to the line, it's going to be, in fact, Green taking the fastest lap this time. An immense weekend for the duo.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. We saw Mars get that 16 on race 1, and then Green scooping up the 16 just barely there on race 2. Both the ESV drivers showing their skills, showing their pace. Green definitely putting up a good fight there, locking in a pretty solid P2 behind Mars. And yeah, absolutely amazing racing from all the drivers here in Split 1.
Well, a big mix-up too, because over 50% of the field was split up into finishers and non-finishers. Serrano being just adrift of the cutoff point, despite putting down a good race right till the very end. But you have Mars, Green, Snowy, Dark, and Godly being your top 5 and only finishers here in race 2, followed by Serrano, MX, Strix, Oceanics, aka Phantom, Silver Corolla, now getting a bit of a chance at redemption and managing to take P10, with Gearman taking a P11 after a series of mistakes. Unfortunately ruined what looked to be a really good race for them.
Yeah, definitely quite a few upsets to see here on this one. This has been a race where I think some people are going to be very happy with their result, and some people are going to be kicking themselves a little bit after that one. So we'll just have to see if they can pick their heads up and get back to it for race 5.
Or now is going to be where we wrap things up for the time being. We do, of course, still have some brilliant racing to go. We still have 2 more exciting rounds. Do we have a little bit of info for us about that, Oki?
Yeah, so the next 2 races, in fact, are our manager specials, if you will. So our next event is going to be at Magione, created by our very own Magnus. It's been a project in the works for a very long time. And then our final race, which will be 4 weeks from now, is happening at Red Bramble Raceway, which is my very own creation. So we worked that one into the final track. So yeah, next week, it's going to be a very very fun track. Majone obviously being a real world location, kind of mixing in these fictional tracks and real world spots. And yeah, very excited to see how the drivers do on that one. It's another fairly technical track, a little bit tighter, a little bit more technical, but I think there's going to be some very, very good racing. I know Magnus put a hell of a lot of work into that track, so I'm excited to see everyone race on it and put their best laps down. And
I'm very excited for it too, but at this point, my stint of leading the commentary might be coming to an end, as the final 2 rounds will be, if all goes to plan, going back to Hoki's channel as intended. But I gotta say, it's been an absolutely amazing experience to commentate for you all, to be back in Horizon again, to see everyone again racing and bringing their A game, and of course having a chance to do it alongside you, Hoki. So I want to thank you personally, as well as the chat. And before we wrap up, of course, while this isn't the main channel for it, if you want to catch the rest of the HTCC action, you gotta jump on Hoki's channel. You're gonna want to follow it, because that's where all the action is.
Yeah, thank you for the shout out. Yeah, and again, thank you, Sappy, for coming in and taking over for these last 2 races. Massively, massively appreciate it. I know the drivers and the viewers appreciated it as well. It's been a blast for me to be able to sit here and watch, and then jump in for Split 1 and co-cast with you. But yeah, like Sappy said, the next 2 events will be hosted back over on my channel, twitch.tv/HokiHoshi. So yeah, head on over there for the final 2 races. And thank you all for being here, and thank you all to or thank you to Sappy for hosting.
Well, I gotta say, it's been amazing fun. And let's say, if you want to follow my channel, I don't really stream all that much, but you're more than welcome to. The main places you're going to find me is dotted around, so I'll be around at Racing Haven, I'll be around a few other places, like if in the F1 side primarily, and for you Tora fans, a little bit of a surprise, I'll be seeing you on Sunday for the 9 hours of Kyle Army, because I've got the first 3 stints in A lobby. And after doing B lobby for ASCC, it was great to get the call up to the main stage. So for those drivers who are also part of the FM scene, I'm looking forward to seeing you there. And for now, this is where we sign off. So thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. I'll see some of you on Sunday, but for all of you watching HTCC, we'll see you same time 2 weeks. Good night, and have a good one.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for watching.